The champagne glass trembled in my hand as my wife's voice cut through the elegant murmur of the charity gala like a blade through silk. From now on, I'm single. Go find someone, Grant. The ballroom at the Lakeside Manor fell silent. 200 of the city's most influential donors, board members, and socialites turned to stare at me like I was roadkill on their pristine marble floor. The crystal chandelier above seemed to dim, casting shadows across faces that had transformed from polite interest to morbid fascination in the span of 3 seconds. I'm Grant Morrison, 43 years old, insurance fraud investigator by trade, punching bag by marriage. For 12 years, I'd been the dutiful husband to Alicia Morrison, executive director of Sunrise Hearts Children's Charity. Tonight, wearing my only good suit and a smile that felt like it was carved from concrete, I'd just been publicly executed by the woman who promised to love me until death do us part. The irony wasn't lost on me. I spent my days catching people who lied for money. Turned out I'd been living with the biggest fraud of all. Alicia stood at the podium in her emerald silk gown, microphone still in her manicured grip, looking like she'd just announced the weather instead of detonating our marriage in front of half the city. Her blonde hair was pulled back in that perfect chignon that cost more than most people's car payments, and her smile never wavered. She was a master performer, I'd give her that. Alicia, what the hell? I started, but the words died in my throat as movement caught my eye. Maya Chen was walking toward me. Maya, Alicia's younger sister by 3 years, moved through the crowd like she owned the room, which in a way, she did. At 38, she was a senior paralegal at Hartwell & Associates, the most prestigious law firm in the city. Where Alicia was all sharp angles and calculated beauty, Maya was curves and natural grace. Her black hair fell in waves past her shoulders, and her dark eyes held an intelligence that had always made me slightly uncomfortable during family dinners. She wore a midnight blue dress that hugged her figure in ways that made married men forget their vows and their wives remember why they hated her. Every step was deliberate, confident, predatory. The crowd parted for her like the Red Sea. "Awesome," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly in the stunned silence. She slipped her arm through mine with the casual intimacy of a longtime lover. "Then I'm taking him." The collective intake of breath from 200 people sounded like a wind tunnel. Cameras flashed. Someone dropped a glass, the crystal shattering against marble with a sound like breaking bones. Alicia's composure cracked for the first time in years. "That's not what I meant." But Maya was already leading me toward the dance floor, her hand warm and sure on my arm. The orchestra, bless their professional souls, had kept playing throughout the entire debacle. A waltz, appropriately dramatic for the occasion. "Play along," Maya whispered as she turned into my arms. "Trust me." I'd been an insurance investigator for 15 years. I knew when someone was running a con. But as Maya's body pressed against mine and we began to move to the music, I realized I didn't care. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt alive. "You want to tell me what this is about?" I murmured as we swayed to the 3/4 time. Maya's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "I know about Troy." The name hit me like a physical blow. Troy Brennan, 34, director of operations at Sunrise Hearts. Tall, athletic, with the kind of easy charm that made donors open their checkbooks and apparently made wives open their legs. "What about Troy?" I asked, though my gut already knew the answer. "Everything," Maya said simply. "The affair, the money, all of it." Around us, the gala had resumed some semblance of normalcy, but I could feel eyes on us like laser sights. Alicia had stepped down from the podium and was making her way through the crowd, her face a mask of barely controlled panic. "How long have you known?" I asked. 3 weeks. Maya spun under my arm with practiced grace. "I've been gathering evidence. Financial records, deleted text messages, hotel receipts. I'm very good at my job, Grant." The music swelled, and Maya pulled closer. I could smell her perfume, something expensive and subtle that made my head spin. "Why are you helping me?" Her dark eyes met mine, and for a moment, I saw something there that made my chest tight. "Because you deserve better than what she's been giving you, and because I've been waiting 12 years for my chance." Before I could process what that meant, Alicia appeared at the edge of the dance floor. Her perfect composure was completely shattered now, mascara smudged, hands shaking. "Maya, stop this right now," she hissed. "This is my event. My marriage, my—" "Your what?" Maya interrupted, never missing a step. "Your husband? The one you just publicly humiliated? Or your charity? The one you've been embezzling from?" The word embezzling dropped into the conversation like a grenade. Several nearby couples stopped dancing to listen. Alicia's face went white. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Phantom vendor payments to Brennan Luxury Auto Sales," Maya said conversationally. $47,000 over the past 8 months. Troy's little side business that doesn't exist on paper but somehow keeps cashing charity checks. I stopped dancing. My insurance investigator brain kicked into high gear, connecting dots with the speed of a supercomputer. Auto sales. That's how he's laundering the money. Maya nodded approvingly. Very good. He creates fake invoices for vehicle donations that never happened. Alicia approves the payments as director. The money goes into Troy's account, he takes his cut, and they split the rest. That's impossible, Alicia sputtered. The board reviews all expenditures over $5,000. Mrs. Kowalski is 83 and trusts you completely, Maya replied. She rubber stamps everything you put in front of her. The other board members are too busy with their own charities to pay attention to the details. Mrs. Eleanor Kowalski, board president of Sunrise Hearts for the past decade, was indeed a sweet old woman who treated Alicia like the daughter she never had. The betrayal would destroy her. You're lying, Alicia said, but her voice lacked conviction. Maya reached into her small purse and pulled out her phone. Would you like me to show everyone the text messages? The ones where you and Troy discuss which hotel to meet at? Or maybe the ones where you coordinate the fake invoices? The blood drained from Alicia's face so fast I thought she might faint. Around us, more people had stopped to listen. The orchestra played on, oblivious to the drama unfolding on their dance floor. How did you get my messages? Alicia whispered. Maya's smile was predatory. Cloud backup, sister dear. You use the same password for everything. Has since high school. Princess 23 isn't exactly Fort Knox. I had to admire the thoroughness. Maya had built an airtight case using nothing but publicly available financial records and Alicia's own digital stupidity. No hacking required, just good old-fashioned investigative work. Grant, you have to believe me, Alicia said, reaching for my arm. This is all a misunderstanding. Maya's jealous. She's always been jealous of what we have. I looked at my wife of 12 years, the woman I'd loved, supported, and trusted through everything. The woman who'd just announced our divorce in front of 200 people to cover for her affair and embezzlement scheme. What we have, I said slowly, is over. The finality in my voice seemed to hit Alicia like a physical blow. She stumbled backward, bumping into a waiter carrying champagne flutes. Glass crashed to the floor, drawing even more attention. Ladies and gentlemen, a voice called from across the room. If I could have your attention, please. Troy Brennan stood near the exit, looking like a deer caught in headlights. He was handsome in that generic way that women seem to love. Square jaw, perfect teeth, expensive suit that couldn't hide the fact that he was sweating through his shirt. There seems to be some confusion, Troy continued, his voice carrying the kind of practiced charm he used in donor meetings. I think it's best if we all just stay right where you are, Maya called out, her voice cutting across the ballroom like a whip crack. She stepped away from me and began walking toward Troy with the focused intensity of a predator who'd spotted prey. The crowd parted for her again, sensing blood in the water. Troy's eyes darted toward the exit, then back to Maya, then to Alicia. Classic flight response. I'd seen it 100 times in insurance fraud cases. The moment when the perpetrator realizes the game is up and starts looking for an escape route. Maya, let's discuss this privately, Troy said, backing toward the door. Oh, I think we're past private discussions, Maya replied. She reached into her purse again and pulled out a manila envelope. Especially since the board of directors is here tonight. Mrs. Kowalski, who'd been standing near the refreshment table looking confused and concerned, stepped forward. Despite her age, she moved with the authority of someone who'd been running charitable organizations since before I was born. Maya, dear, what's going on? Mrs. Kowalski asked. This is most unusual behavior for a charity gala. Mrs. Kowalski, Maya said respectfully, I have evidence that Sunrise Hearts has been the victim of embezzlement. Significant embezzlement. The word rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Donors began whispering to each other. Phones appeared as people started recording, and I could see several board members pushing through the crowd to get closer. Troy made his move. He bolted for the exit with the desperate speed of a man who knew his life was about to implode. But Maya had anticipated this. She didn't chase him. Instead, she opened the manila envelope and pulled out a thick stack of documents. Security, Mrs. Kowalski called out, her voice surprisingly strong for an octogenarian. 2 security guards appeared from opposite sides of the ballroom, cutting off Troy's escape routes. He skidded to a halt in the middle of the dance floor, trapped and panicking. This is insane, Troy said, his charm finally cracking. These people are having some kind of family dispute. It has nothing to do with the charity. Maya held up a document. Bank records showing payments from Sunrise Hearts to Brennan Luxury Auto Sales, she announced to the crowd. $47,000 for vehicle donations that don't exist. She held up another document. Hotel receipts charged to Troy's credit card, cross-referenced with Alicia's calendar showing external meetings on the same dates. Another document. Text messages between Alicia Morrison and Troy Brennan discussing both their affair and the coordination of fraudulent invoices. The crowd was dead silent now, except for the sound of camera phones recording everything. This was going to be all over social media within minutes. Mrs. Kowalski took the documents with shaking hands. As she read, her face transformed from confusion to shock to deep personal betrayal. "Alicia," she said quietly, "is this true?" My wife stood frozen in the middle of the ballroom, mascara running down her cheeks, her perfect composure completely destroyed. She looked like a cornered animal. "Mrs. Kowalski, I can explain everything," Alicia said. "This is all a misunderstanding. Maya is trying to destroy me because she's jealous of my marriage. My position? Your marriage?" I interrupted, stepping forward. "The one you just ended on live television?" Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Someone was definitely live streaming this. "Grant, please," Alicia begged. "We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can go to prison," I said flatly. "Both of you. Embezzlement from a registered charity is a federal crime." Troy's face went gray. "Now wait just a minute. I never stole anything. Those were legitimate business expenses." "For a business that doesn't exist," Maya interrupted. She pulled out her phone and began scrolling through screenshots. "Brennan Luxury Auto Sales has no business license, no registered address, and no tax filings. It's a shell company designed to launder stolen charity funds." Mrs. Kowalski looked up from the documents, her eyes hard as diamonds. "I'm calling an emergency board meeting, right now." She turned to the security guards. "Please escort Mr. Brennan and Mrs. Morrison to the conference room. They are not to leave the premises." "You can't hold us here," Troy protested. "We haven't been charged with anything." "No," Mrs. Kowalski agreed. "But you're both suspended from your positions effective immediately, pending a full investigation. And since this is a private event at a private venue, we can absolutely detain you until the police arrive." The word police sent another ripple of excitement through the crowd. This was better than reality television. As security began escorting Troy and Alicia away, my wife turned back to look at me one last time. Her perfect mask was completely gone now, replaced by raw desperation. "Grant, don't let her do this to us," she pleaded. "She's destroying our family." I looked at the woman I'd married 12 years ago, the woman who'd shared my bed while stealing from children's charity and planning to divorce me in the most humiliating way possible. "No, Alicia," I said quietly. "You destroyed our family. Maya just documented it." The security guards led them away, and the crowd began buzzing with excited conversation. Mrs. Kowalski was already on her phone, presumably calling other board members and very likely the FBI. Maya walked back to me, her heels clicking on the marble floor like a countdown timer. "Well," she said, slipping her arm through mine again. "That was fun." I stared at her. "Fun? You just destroyed 2 people's lives." "I exposed 2 criminals," Maya corrected. "There's a difference, and I saved a children's charity from being robbed blind." She was right, of course. In my line of work, I'd seen plenty of cases like this. The only difference was that this time it was personal. "What happens now?" I asked. Maya's smile was soft this time, almost vulnerable. "Now we dance. The orchestra is still playing, the champagne is still flowing, and you're officially single as of about 10 minutes ago." She was right about that, too. Alicia's public declaration had been legally meaningless, but it was certainly clear intent. "Maya," I said as we began to sway to the music again. "Earlier, you said you'd been waiting 12 years for your chance. What did you mean?" Her dark eyes met mine, and I saw something there that made my heart race in a way it hadn't in years. "I mean," she said softly, "that I've been in love with you since the day Alicia brought you home, and I've spent 12 years watching her take you for granted, treat you like hired help, and waste the best man I've ever known." The confession hit me like a lightning bolt. "Maya, I know it's complicated," she continued. "I know the timing is terrible. I know this whole situation is insane. But Grant, life is short, and chances like this don't come along twice." Around us, the gala was slowly returning to normal. The immediate drama was over, but the gossip would fuel society pages for months. I could see people taking pictures of us dancing, probably already posting them with captions about the scandal of the year. "What about the investigation?" I asked. "The FBI, the charges, all of that?" Maya's professional confidence returned. "Alicia and Troy are looking at federal embezzlement charges, fraud, conspiracy, probably tax evasion. With the evidence I've gathered, it's an open and shut case. They'll both do time. And you? Won't there be questions about how you obtained the evidence? Everything I did was legal, Maya assured me. Cloud backups, public financial records, hotel receipts from a credit card Troy stupidly put in both their names. I'm a paralegal, Grant. I know exactly how far I can push without crossing any lines. The music swelled around us, and I realized that for the first time in years, I felt hope. Not just hope, I felt alive. The woman in my arms was brilliant, beautiful, and apparently had been planning this moment for over a decade. So, what do you say? Maya asked. Ready to start over? I looked into her eyes, then over her shoulder at the crowd of people who were still watching us with fascination. In a few hours, this would all be over the internet. By morning, it would be in the newspapers. My marriage, my wife's crimes, and my apparent new relationship would be public knowledge. Maya, I said, pulling her closer. I think I've been ready for 12 years. I just didn't know it. Her smile could have lit up the entire ballroom. As we danced, I caught sight of Mrs. Kowalski near the conference room, surrounded by board members and what looked like federal agents who'd arrived with impressive speed. The investigation was already underway. My phone buzzed with text messages, probably friends and coworkers who'd seen the drama unfold on social media. My daughter Emma, away at college, had probably seen it too. There would be a lot of explaining to do, but for now, there was just the music, the woman in my arms, and the intoxicating feeling of a new beginning rising from the ashes of the old. Grant, Maya said softly. Yeah? Thank you for trusting me. I spun her under my arm, drawing appreciative looks from the remaining crowd. Thank you for saving me. As the waltz came to an end, Maya leaned up and kissed me softly. Camera flashes went off around us like fireworks, capturing the moment that would define the rest of our lives. When we broke apart, she smiled that predatory smile that had first caught my attention. Oh, we're just getting started, she said, and somehow I knew she was right. 3 days after the gala, I sat in Maya's law office surrounded by enough evidence to convict a small army of white-collar criminals. Her workspace was organized chaos, legal briefs stacked in precise towers, 3 computer monitors displaying financial spreadsheets, and a corkboard covered with photographs, bank records, and timeline charts that looked like something from a police procedural. Coffee? Maya asked, not looking up from her laptop where she was typing with the focused intensity of a concert pianist. Please. I needed the caffeine. I'd barely slept since Saturday night, my mind spinning with the implications of everything that had happened. Maya poured from an expensive-looking coffee maker, handing me a mug that read, World's Greatest Paralegal. The coffee was perfect, strong, smooth, and exactly what I needed. The FBI wants to interview you tomorrow, she said, settling back into her chair. Agent Rebecca Torres, White Collar Crime Division. She's good. I've worked with her on other cases. What kind of questions? Standard stuff. How long you were married, whether you suspected anything, your knowledge of Alicia's work at the charity. They'll want to establish that you weren't involved in the embezzlement. I nodded, though the thought of being questioned by federal agents made my stomach clench. And you're sure I'm not in any legal trouble? Maya's smile was reassuring. Grant, you're an insurance fraud investigator with a spotless record and no access to charity finances. You're a witness, not a suspect. She pulled up a spreadsheet on her center monitor. Want to see how deep this goes? The numbers were staggering. Over the past 2 years, Alicia and Troy had stolen nearly $200,000 from Sunrise Hearts through their fake invoice scheme. The money had been funneled through Troy's non-existent auto business, then split between offshore accounts and cash purchases of luxury items. Jesus, I muttered, scanning the data. 200 grand from a children's charity. It gets worse. Maya clicked to another screen showing photographs of Troy's apartment. Ferrari in the garage, Rolex collection, designer clothes, all purchased with cash in amounts just under the federal reporting threshold. He knew exactly what he was doing. They both did. This wasn't a crime of passion, Grant. It was calculated, systematic theft from an organization that provides medical care to underprivileged children. The weight of that hit me hard. I'd known Alicia was selfish, but I'd never imagined she was capable of stealing from sick kids. Maya must have seen something in my expression because she reached across the desk and took my hand. Hey, this isn't your fault. I lived with her for 12 years. How did I not see this? Because she's a sociopath, Maya said bluntly. She compartmentalized her life perfectly. Loving wife at home, dedicated charity director in public, criminal in private. You saw what she wanted you to see. My phone buzzed with another text message. I'd been getting them constantly since the gala. Friends, coworkers, even my insurance company's HR department wanting to discuss the situation. Emma? Maya asked. I nodded. My 22-year-old daughter had been calling and texting nonstop since seeing the video of Saturday night's drama. She wants to come home from college to help me through this. That's sweet. She also wants to know if the rumors about us are true. Maya raised an eyebrow. What rumors would those be? I showed her my phone. Emma's latest text read, Dad, Twitter is saying you and Aunt Maya are together now. Please tell me you didn't rebound with Mom's sister at a charity gala. Maya laughed, a sound like silver bells. Your daughter has a point. The optics are pretty terrible. The optics are the least of my problems right now. Are they? Maya's voice was serious now. Grant, what happened Saturday night is going to follow you for a long time. People love a scandal, especially when it involves wealthy people behaving badly. You need to decide how you want to handle the attention. She was right. The video of Alicia's public declaration and Maya's subsequent revelation had gone viral. Dulce Charity Gala drama was trending on Twitter, and gossip blogs were having a field day with the story. What do you suggest? Maya leaned back in her chair, studying me with those dark eyes that seemed to see everything. We could lay low, wait for it to blow over, keep our relationship private until the legal stuff is resolved. Or we own it. We're two adults who found each other in a difficult situation. We have nothing to be ashamed of. I considered this. The insurance company had already put me on paid leave pending the FBI investigation, so my career was on hold anyway. And hiding from Maya felt like the opposite of what I wanted to do. There's something else, Maya said, her voice careful. The media attention isn't going away anytime soon. Channel 7 wants to interview you. The Tribune is running a feature story on charity fraud, and there are reporters calling the law firm asking about our relationship. Wonderful. Grant. Maya's voice was soft but firm. I need you to understand something. I didn't do this to get you. I did this because it was right, because Alicia and Troy were criminals who needed to be stopped. If you want to walk away from whatever this is between us, I'll understand. I looked at her sitting behind her desk, professional and composed, surrounded by the evidence that had destroyed my marriage and probably saved dozens of children from being robbed blind. Maya had risked her career, her family relationships, and her reputation to expose the truth. Maya, I said, standing up and walking around the desk to where she sat. I'm not walking away. I leaned down and kissed her, tasting coffee and possibility. When we broke apart, her cheeks were flushed and her professional composure had cracked just enough to show the woman underneath. Good, she breathed, because I have a confession to make. Another one? Maya's smile was wicked. I may have already given an exclusive interview to Channel 7. You what? Tomorrow at 5. They're running a segment on charity fraud, and I'm their expert witness. I thought you might want to be there. I stared at her. Maya, are you insane? The FBI investigation isn't even finished yet. Everything I'm sharing is already public record, or will be once the indictments are filed. And Grant, this is our chance to control the narrative. Right now, we look like the villains who destroyed a marriage at a charity gala. But if we tell our story, the real story, we become the heroes who exposed criminals and saved a children's charity. She was right, and I knew it. In my insurance work, I'd seen how public perception could make or break a case. Getting ahead of the story was smart. What do you need me to do? Maya's smile could have melted steel. Just be yourself. Tell the truth about what you saw, what you suspected, how it felt to discover that your wife was stealing from sick children. Let people see the man I fell in love with. The words hung in the air between us like a bridge we were both afraid to cross. Maya, I said carefully, about that, about us, are we really doing this? She stood up, closing the distance between us until I could smell her perfume and feel the warmth of her body. Grant Morrison, she said, looking up at me with those dark eyes that had haunted my dreams for years. I have been waiting 12 years for you to be free. I'm not letting you go now. I kissed her again, harder this time, with 12 years of suppressed attraction and 3 days of emotional chaos fueling the fire between us. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. The interview is tomorrow at 3, Maya said against my lips. Channel 7 Studios downtown. I'll be there. And Grant, wear the blue suit. It brings out your eyes. I laughed despite everything. Yes, ma'am. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Grant Morrison? The voice was male, professional, unfamiliar. Yes? This is Detective Ray Santos, Financial Crimes Division. I'm calling about your wife. My blood went cold. What about her? She's been arrested. Federal charges. She's asking for you. I looked at Maya, who had gone very still. Where? Federal building downtown. But Mr. Morrison, you should know that anything you say to her can be used in court. You might want to bring a lawyer. Maya was already reaching for her purse. We'll be right there, I said. As we left the office, Maya grabbed my hand. You don't have to do this, you know. You don't owe her anything. I squeezed her fingers. I know, but I need to see her. I need to understand how she became someone I didn't recognize. Maya nodded. Then we do this together. Together, I agreed. As we walked toward the elevator, I realized that for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't facing a crisis alone. The woman beside me was brilliant, brave, and apparently willing to walk into hell with me. It was a good feeling. The Federal building downtown looked like a fortress of gray stone and tinted glass, designed to intimidate anyone who entered its halls. Maya and I sat in the sterile waiting room on the third floor, surrounded by the kind of institutional furniture that existed solely to make people uncomfortable. She's been in custody for 6 hours, Maya said, checking her phone. No bail hearing yet. Agent Torres appeared in the doorway, a woman in her 40s with steel gray hair and the kind of sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Morrison, I'm Agent Rebecca Torres, FBI. Thank you for coming down. I stood, Maya beside me. This is Maya Chen, my attorney. Agent Torres nodded to Maya with professional respect. Ms. Chen, I understand you were instrumental in bringing this case to light. I was doing my civic duty, Maya replied smoothly. Indeed. Mr. Morrison, your wife has been charged with embezzlement, conspiracy to commit fraud, and money laundering. She's waived her right to have an attorney present and is asking to speak with you specifically. Is that advisable? I asked. That's between you and your attorney, but I will tell you that this conversation will be recorded and anything said can be used as evidence in federal court. Maya squeezed my hand. It's your choice, Grant. But remember, she's not the woman you married anymore. She's a defendant in a federal criminal case. I thought about that. The Alicia I'd married would never have stolen from a children's charity. But then again, the Alicia I'd married wouldn't have announced our divorce at a public event either. I'll see her, I decided. Agent Torres led us down a hallway lined with interview rooms. Through a one-way window, I could see Alicia sitting at a metal table, still wearing the emerald dress from Saturday night. It was wrinkled now, stained with mascara and what looked like coffee. Her perfect hair was a mess, and her hands were shaking. She looked like a stranger. 5 minutes, Agent Torres said, opening the door. Alicia looked up as I entered, and her face crumpled with relief. Grant, thank God. I knew you'd come. I sat across from her, Maya taking the chair beside me. The room smelled like disinfectant and desperation. Alicia, I said carefully, how are you holding up? How do you think? Her voice was raw, exhausted. I've been in a cell for 6 hours. They took my jewelry, my purse, even my shoes. They're treating me like a common criminal. You are a common criminal, Maya said quietly. Alicia's eyes flashed with the old fire. I didn't ask you here, Maya. This is between me and my husband. Ex-husband, I corrected. You made that pretty clear on Saturday. Alicia's face softened, and she reached across the table for my hands. I didn't pull away, but I didn't respond either. Grant, that was a mistake. I was emotional, confused. The stress of running the charity, the pressure from the board, everything just got to me. I didn't mean what I said. Which part didn't you mean? I asked. The divorce announcement or the part where you've been stealing from sick children? I never stole anything. Alicia's voice rose, then dropped as she remembered where we were. Those payments were legitimate business expenses. Troy was helping the charity acquire vehicles for our transportation program. Maya pulled out her phone and showed Alicia a screen full of bank records. Brennan Luxury Auto Sales doesn't exist, Alicia. There are no vehicles. There's no transportation program. There's just you and Troy stealing money and splitting it between offshore accounts. Alicia stared at the evidence, her face cycling through shock, denial, and finally, defeat. How long have you known? She whispered. 3 weeks, Maya replied. Ever since I ran a background check on Troy and discovered his business had no business license, no tax filings, and no registered address. Why? Alicia asked. Why were you investigating him? Maya's smile was sharp. Because I've been in love with your husband for 12 years, and I wanted to know what kind of man was sleeping with my sister. The confession hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. You what? Alicia's voice was barely a whisper. I said I've been in love with Grant since the day you brought him home, and I've spent 12 years watching you treat him like hired help while you played queen of the charity circuit. Alicia turned to me, her eyes wide with shock and betrayal. Grant, is this true? Are you sleeping with my sister? As of Saturday night, we're not your anything, I replied. You made sure of that when you announced our divorce in front of 200 people. But you can't be with Maya. She's my sister. She's family. So were you, I said quietly, until you decided to steal from children and cheat on our marriage. Alicia broke down then, sobbing with the kind of raw desperation I'd never seen from her before. The composed, controlling woman I'd married was completely gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. Grant, please, she begged through her tears. I know I made mistakes, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through the trust issues. Don't throw away 12 years of marriage for her. I looked at the woman across the table, the woman who'd shared my bed while planning to leave me, who'd stolen from the charity she claimed to love, who'd humiliated me in the most public way possible. Alicia, I said gently, you threw away our marriage the moment you started sleeping with Troy. Everything else is just consequences. I love you, she whispered. No, I replied. You loved the idea of me, the stable husband, the reliable income, the respectable marriage that looked good at charity events. But you never loved me enough to be faithful, honest, or even kind. Maya reached over and took my hand, her fingers warm and sure. Grant's right, Maya said to her sister. You had a good man who adored you, and you treated him like furniture. You had a position of trust at a children's charity, and you used it to steal money. You had a family who loved you, and you betrayed all of us. Alicia's sobs turned to anger. This is all your fault. You seduced him. You turned him against me. I documented your crimes, Maya corrected. I didn't seduce anyone. Grant made his own choices, just like you made yours. Agent Torres appeared in the doorway. Time's up. As we stood to leave, Alicia grabbed my arm with desperate strength. Grant, don't leave me here. Please, I can't go to prison. I won't survive it. I looked down at her, really looked at her for what felt like the first time in years. The perfect makeup was gone, revealing lines of stress and age I'd never noticed. The designer dress was wrinkled and stained. The manicured nails were chipped. But it was her eyes that told the real story. They were the eyes of someone who'd finally been caught, who'd run out of lies and excuses and charm. They were the eyes of a stranger. Alicia, I said softly, you should have thought about that before you decided to steal from children. I gently removed her hand from my arm and walked out of the room without looking back. In the hallway, Maya was quiet until we reached the elevator. How do you feel? She asked. I thought about it as we descended toward the lobby. Free, I said finally. For the first time in years, I feel free. Maya smiled and squeezed my hand. Good, because we have a television interview in 2 hours, and I want the whole world to see the man I fell in love with. As we walked out of the federal building into the afternoon sunshine, I realized that my old life was officially over. My marriage, my routine, my carefully constructed world of denial and compromise, all of it was gone. But walking beside me was a woman who'd risked everything to expose the truth, who'd waited 12 years for her chance, and who was brave enough to face the future with me. It felt like the beginning of something extraordinary. Maya, I said as we reached her car. Yeah? Thank you for everything. She stood on her toes and kissed me softly, right there on the steps of the federal building where my wife was being held on felony charges. Thank you for being worth waiting for, she replied. And for the first time and longer than I could remember, I believed her. Channel 7's studio was smaller than I'd expected, all bright lights and carefully arranged furniture designed to look casual while being anything but. Maya sat beside me on a burgundy couch that probably cost more than my car, looking perfectly composed in a navy blue blazer that made her look like she belonged on television. I, on the other hand, felt like I was about to throw up. 30 seconds, the producer called out, a young woman with a headset and the kind of efficient energy that made me tired just watching her. Across from us, Jennifer Walsh, Channel 7's investigative reporter, shuffled through her notes one final time. She was in her 30s, blonde, with the kind of sharp intelligence that had made her the go-to journalist for white-collar crime stories. Remember, Maya whispered, just tell the truth. Don't embellish, don't speculate, just stick to the facts. I nodded, adjusting my tie for the 100th time. Maya had been right about the blue suit. It did bring out my eyes. Though right now, my eyes probably looked like those of a deer caught in headlights. And we're live in 3, 2, 1. The red light on the camera blinked on, and Jennifer Walsh transformed from casual professional to television personality in the span of a heartbeat. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Walsh with Channel 7 Investigates. Tonight we bring you an exclusive look at a charity scandal that has rocked the city's philanthropic community. With me are Grant Morrison and Maya Chen, the couple at the center of what's being called the Sunrise Hearts fraud case. She turned to us with practiced ease. Mr. Morrison, let's start with you. Saturday night at the Lakeside Manor Charity Gala, your wife of 12 years publicly announced she was divorcing you. What was going through your mind in that moment? The question I'd been dreading. I took a breath and tried to channel the confidence Maya seemed to radiate effortlessly. Honestly, Jennifer, I was shocked. Not just by the public nature of the announcement, but by the timing. We were at a charity event for Sunrise Hearts, an organization that provides medical care to underprivileged children. It seemed like an inappropriate venue for personal drama. But it wasn't just personal drama, was it? Ms. Chen, you stepped in immediately with some rather explosive allegations. Maya leaned forward slightly, her voice calm and professional. I had been investigating financial irregularities at Sunrise Hearts for several weeks. As a paralegal with experience in white-collar crime, I recognized the patterns of embezzlement in the charity's financial records. What kind of patterns? Phantom vendor payments, Maya explained. Large sums being paid to a company called Brennan Luxury Auto Sales for vehicle donations that never materialized. The payments were always just under the threshold that would trigger board review, and they were approved by my sister, Alicia Morrison, in her capacity as executive director. Jennifer Walsh's eyebrows rose. Your sister. So this was a family matter that became a federal case? This was a federal case that happened to involve family, Maya corrected. The relationship made it more difficult emotionally, but it didn't change the fact that crimes were being committed. Mr. Morrison, did you suspect your wife was having an affair? The question hit like a punch to the gut, but I'd known it was coming. I suspected our marriage was in trouble, I said carefully. Alicia had become distant, secretive. She was working late more often, taking calls she wouldn't explain. But I attributed it to stress from her job. I never imagined she was stealing from the charity or having an affair with her director of operations. When did you first learn about Troy Brennan's involvement? Saturday night, when Maya told me. She had evidence, bank records, text messages, hotel receipts. It was clear that this wasn't just an affair, but a coordinated scheme to defraud the charity. Jennifer turned back to Maya. Ms. Chen, you've been accused of orchestrating this exposure to break up your sister's marriage. How do you respond to that? Maya's smile was sharp, but not unkind. I exposed criminals who were stealing from sick children. If that had the side effect of ending a marriage that was already over, I'm not going to apologize for it. Already over? Mr. Morrison had been emotionally abandoned by his wife long before Saturday night. She was using him as a cover for her criminal activities and her affair. The marriage existed on paper and for public appearances, but it wasn't a real partnership. And now you two are together romantically. I felt my face flush, but Maya answered without hesitation. We're exploring a relationship, yes? Grant is a good man who deserved better than what he was getting. I've cared about him for years, and now that he's free to make his own choices, we're seeing where this leads. Mr. Morrison, your wife and her alleged co-conspirator are facing federal charges. How does that make you feel? I thought about Alicia in that interview room, broken and desperate, begging me not to leave her there. It makes me sad, I said honestly. I loved my wife for 12 years. I never wanted to see her in federal custody. But I also think about the children who depend on Sunrise Hearts for medical care, and the donors who trusted their money would be used to help those children. Alicia and Troy betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. What's next for both of you? Maya and I exchanged a look. We'd discussed this, but it still felt surreal to be talking about it on television. The FBI investigation is ongoing, Maya said. I'll continue to cooperate with federal prosecutors to ensure that justice is served. Beyond that, we're taking things one day at a time. Mr. Morrison? I'm focused on rebuilding my life, I said. This has been a difficult time, but I'm grateful for the truth, even when it's painful, and I'm grateful for people like Maya who have the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. Jennifer Walsh smiled, sensing we were approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts for our viewers? Maya spoke first. Charity fraud is more common than people think. Donors should research organizations before giving, ask for detailed financial reports, and don't be afraid to ask hard questions about how their money is being used. Mr. Morrison? I looked directly into the camera, thinking about everyone who would see this. My coworkers, my friends, my daughter Emma, probably even Alicia from her federal holding cell. Sometimes the people we trust most are the ones who betray us most completely, I said. But that doesn't mean we should stop trusting. It means we should trust wisely, and when we discover the truth about someone, we should have the courage to act on it. And cut, the producer called out. That's a wrap. The lights dimmed, and the artificial energy of television production evaporated. Jennifer Walsh stood and shook our hands. Excellent interview, she said. This will air tonight at 11 with follow-ups as the federal case develops. As we walked out of the studio, Maya took my arm. How do you feel? She asked. Like I just jumped out of an airplane without knowing if my parachute would open. Maya laughed. Well, for what it's worth, I think you stuck the landing. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Dad, just saw a preview of your interview online. I'm proud of you, and Aunt Maya is a badass. I showed Maya the message, and her smile could have lit up the parking lot. I like your daughter, she said. She likes you too, always has. We reached Maya's car, a sleek BMW that somehow managed to be both practical and elegant, just like its owner. Grant, Maya said as we got in, there's something I need to tell you. My stomach dropped. After everything we'd been through, I wasn't sure I could handle another revelation. What is it? Maya started the engine but didn't put the car in drive. Instead, she turned to face me, her dark eyes serious. The federal prosecutor called this afternoon. They're offering Alicia and Troy plea deals. What kind of plea deals? Alicia would plead guilty to embezzlement and conspiracy charges. 5 years in federal prison, full restitution to the charity, forfeiture of all assets purchased with stolen funds. And Troy? Same deal, but 7 years because he was the primary architect of the scheme. I absorbed this information. 5 years. Alicia would be 48 when she got out, assuming she took the deal. What happens if they don't take the plea? They go to trial. If convicted on all charges, they're looking at 15 to 20 years each. The numbers were staggering. My wife of 12 years was facing the possibility of spending the next 2 decades in federal prison. Maya, I said quietly, do you ever regret what you did? She was quiet for a long moment, her hands resting on the steering wheel. I regret that it came to this, she said finally. I regret that Alicia made the choices she made. I regret that children suffered because of her greed. But do I regret exposing the truth? No, never. I reached over and took her hand. I'm glad you did it. Even though it destroyed your marriage. My marriage was already destroyed. You just made it impossible to pretend otherwise. Maya squeezed my fingers. Grant, I need you to know something. Whatever happens between us, whatever this becomes, I didn't do this to get you. I did it because it was right. I know, I said. That's one of the reasons I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air between us, more intimate than anything we'd shared in the chaos of the past few days. Falling in love? Maya's voice was soft, vulnerable. Already fallen, I corrected. I think I've been falling for years. I just couldn't admit it to myself. Maya's smile was radiant. She leaned across the console and kissed me, soft and sweet, and full of promise. When we broke apart, she rested her forehead against mine. So, what now? She asked. I thought about it. My wife was in federal custody. My marriage was over. My life as I'd known it for 12 years was completely destroyed. But the woman beside me was brilliant, brave, and beautiful. She'd risked everything to do what was right, and she'd waited 12 years for her chance to be with me. Now, I said, we go home, together. Maya's smile could have powered the entire city. I like the sound of that, she said. As we drove through the city streets toward whatever came next, I realized that for the first time in my adult life, I was exactly where I was supposed to be.